Story 1. Last winter, I embarked on a solo getaway to the mountain areas. The small town that I stayed in was very strange, but my focus was on the serene landscapes rather than the city bustle. Hotel prices were oddly high, so I chose Airbnb for this purpose. It turned out to be a guest house on a property with the owner's main residence nearby. House situated within a dense forest. I arrived late at night and the porch lights were on. As I approached the door and gave it a soft knock, a friendly woman in her 40s welcomed me and guided me to the guest house. She handed over the keys to me and gave me a brief tour of the property. From our conversation, I got to know that she's been in this house for the last 15 years. And after a while, she left. After her departure, I settled in, making a late-night snack. It was then that I noticed the absence of curtains on the windows, permitting the moonlight to fill the house. It wasn't a concern for me at that point. During bedtime, I attempted to shield the moon's glare with an extra blanket, but it was ineffective. The bed was comfortable as well. My sleep was disrupted by an unsettling smell that lingered in the room. I cracked the window for fresh air, hoping the odor would fade away, but it stayed stubbornly. I expected the next day would be better. I woke early, enjoying a simple breakfast before going on a hiking adventure. Returning to the guest house later, around 9 p.m., I noticed the woman abruptly walking away from the rear of the guest house. It was an odd occurrence, but I ignored it and entered without much thought. I went to bed straight away and I was feeling comfortable. However, my comfort was disturbed when I heard a car approaching on the driveway. The sound ceased as the vehicle parked near the house. Ominous men in long black robes with hoodies came out of the car, and the woman greeted them. Their whispered conversation was faint, and at the end of it, the woman pointed towards my room. At that point, a man looked at me and his eyes fixed on me. I started panicking, but I stared back at him. I watched them and my heart was pounding as they circled the house before stopping near a wall. And all of them started closing in on me. Their footsteps grew louder, approaching my room. I was flabbergasted and went to pack my belongings. As I was packing, the door of my room started banging as if someone was trying to break it. I threw my luggage out of the window and saw that all of them were coming inside to get me. The woman was no longer polite, and her lips curled into a malevolent grin as she followed strange men entering the guest house. As the drive away was clear, I jumped out of the window and ran till I reached the main city. I spent that night in a pub where I got to know about the sinister truth of that lady involved in black magic and cult stuff. She was allegedly responsible for so many disappearances, yet not caught by police. People said many officials were involved in the cult. I canceled my trip and went home the very next morning. Story 2. The Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana is a haunted plantation house in Louisiana. It was said to be one of the most haunted places in the United States. It was built in 1796 by General David Bradford, and it's been the site of many deaths, including murders, suicides, and accidents. I was unaware of all these facts before I decided to rent the property for a week on Airbnb. I got transferred to my workstation in Louisiana and moved into this house here for some time. We decided to enjoy the week of adventure that we were going to remember for the rest of our lives. In that sleepy town of St. Francisville, Louisiana, we were new as a family of 3. The first night we spent there was quite casual, yet intense. Elizabeth, my wife, and I, along with our daughter Lily, checked into the infamous Myrtles Plantation. unaware of the horrors that awaited us within those ancient walls. From the moment we arrived, my wife was complaining of an unsettling aura hanging heavy in the air. Locals that we met on the way also warned us about the tales of that house. I've always been a skeptic who dismissed tales of such supernatural, so I brushed off the locals' warnings as mere superstition. Elizabeth, however, couldn't shake the feeling that we were not alone. This all escalated on the second day, when after the dusk settled, casting long shadows across the plantation, we gathered in the grand parlor. Lily's laughter was echoing through the room, intermingling with the faint whispers that seemed to drift from unseen corners. Lily was communicating in a way as if answering those whispers. That was shocking for both of us as a parent. After that, strange occurrences started to happen eventually. Objects were mysteriously moving without any human force. Chilling drafts swirling through empty corridors, someone running in the corridor, and an unshakable feeling of being watched continuously was tormenting our souls. Somehow we ignored it. And then, the other night, while Elizabeth tucked Lily into bed, she noticed an ethereal figure standing at the foot of Lily's bed. It was like a strange figure who appeared to be the ghost in a ripped gown. Elizabeth's heart raced as she recognized the ghostly visage of Chloe, the long-deceased resident said to haunt the plantation. She saw her pictures in the old storage of pictures. She came to me screaming and told me this all, and I ignored her as I thought she might be overthinking because of local tales that she had heard since we came in. The same day I saw that same appearance of a disfigured womanly ghost in Lily's room. I was in shock after that sight, and in denial for a very long time, till Elizabeth persuaded me to believe it and get out of this problem. Over the course of our stay, we were tormented by Chloe's vengeful presence. My daughter Lily used to be a carefree child, and now she started getting nightmares, and she often woke up to mysterious scratches on her arms. Elizabeth's sanity was disturbed as the ghostly encounters grew increasingly dangerous. Now I was facing undeniable evidence and could no longer deny the existence of the supernatural. I was desperate to protect my family, so I sought the help of an old local who knew a lot about the history of the house, Dr. Michael. After a detailed discussion, I delved into the dark history of the Myrtles plantation, unearthing the chilling tale of Chloe's tragic death, and that her spirit still haunts the house, and the same spirit has possessed our daughter. As we stepped into the darkness, we saw evil beings, heard haunting whispers, and even got physically harmed by an unseen force. Yet we went inside into the darkest corners of the plantation's secrets. After this harrowing experience, we left the plantation, and we were forever changed as a family. We carried the weight of the paranormal within us, and Lily still gets nightmares and mysterious scratches. Those scratches constantly remind us of the thin veil between the good and the evil. The house is still famous for possession of demons, and some rooms have been closed forever to avoid any mishap. Story 3. About a year ago, something happened to me when I was on a business trip. I booked an Airbnb to stay there. The town had a super creepy reputation for its residential system, but I ignored the rumors, thinking that it might be some scary and spooky stories. So there I was, pulling up to the hotel I booked on Airbnb. For a few nights, it was supposed to be my home away from home. But let me tell you, as soon as I stepped inside, I felt that something was off. The hotel staff was giving me the creepy vibes that I didn't like. Like their smiles, they were just a little too wide, and their eyes were a bit too vacant. I was so tired that I ignored them as well and went straight in and checked into my room. At first glance, my room seemed normal enough, but things took a real turn towards the creepy zone as soon as the sun set. I was in bed, trying to release the stress of a long day of meetings and watching TV. All of a sudden, I heard this faint whisper and the room got chilly. Nah, it must be my imagination, I said to myself, trying to ignore it. But then the lights started to flicker on and off. I was watching a show on TV and it went static for some moments before going back to the show. I got scared as hell. And then, even though the windows of my room were closed tightly, a gust of wind blew through the room. Now I couldn't simply ignore it anymore, but still I told myself that I was being paranoid, and then I pulled the covers up my head. Eventually, the air got colder, and I could see my own breath in front of me. I was about to call the room service to report this disturbing stuff going on when the lights went out, and the TV suddenly turned off with a sudden glitch. The room got pitch black. I could feel this mysterious presence, like someone was in the room with me. My heart was beating out of my chest. I fumbled for my phone to use its flashlight. I waved it all over the room to see if everything was fine. The beam of light from my phone revealed a dark and shadowy figure in the room. When I saw it, my heart sank, and I jumped out of bed. I backed myself into a corner of the room and held the flashlight of my phone in front of me. Before, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, and now I have seen something that is even more concerning. It is as if someone or something was right there with me in the room. I was about to make a run for the door when I heard a whisper. It was right in my ear. It said, "Leave, before it's too late." I immediately grabbed my stuff and ran out of there without thinking twice. I didn't stop running till I was at a safe distance from that hotel. The next morning, after staying at a different hotel, I tried to shake off the weirdness of the night before and found a cozy coffee shop in the town. I told my experience to a few locals sitting there in the restaurant, and they all exchanged glances. It turned out that the hotel already had a long history of spooky stories. They told me that people claimed to have seen shadows, heard voices, and even felt a supernatural presence in that hotel. I didn't need further convincing. I booked a room at a different place very far from that hotel and finished my business trip as fast as I could. I never set foot near that creepy hotel again. Thanks for watching the Haunted Sketchbook. Be sure to check out any of the videos on screen right now if you're planning on not sleeping tonight.